high quality content is about to get dropped here.
Quality content. Since we're wearing hats today,
Uh-huh.
um, Evan, you just admitted to me that this is one of two now that you own.
Yeah. Okay. So the hat that has been retired, it's just been retired from public view. It still
Ah,
gets used for out in the yard. The gardening hat. It's like to
the
keep the poison
gardening
oak
hat.
from going on my head.
You know, you could like, why don't you get one of those like little beekeeper outfits if you
I
want to try
should.
to keep
Yeah. Full
like
coverage.
all of
Yeah. I should
exactly.
get full coverage. Um, my one other hat is like a full sun hat, like a fishing hat,
Yeah,
kind of I don't know, even bigger than that. It's just for when I'm actually out working in the sun,
big
keeping it
old
off my
floppy brim.
neck. I got to keep it off the front and the back. I burn
You
easily.
got to protect. You have to protect the mullet.
I have to protect the business
Exactly.
and the party. Yes.
I don't recognize like such a low number in the quantity of hats.
What
Be-
is the deal with how much hats cost? This is there are so many hats in the world. There are literally
yes.
millions. Why do they cost $40? What is the deal with a trucker hat costing
Well,
40
first
bucks?
of all, you are sporting the old Patagonia there, so you're not paying for the hat. You're
I
paying
Yeah.
for the. And by the way, I'm wearing a. This is a hat that was purchased last year at the AIA convention in San Francisco, and I
Okay.
bought it at the airport, and it still cost me under $20.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that's
See,
insane.
see, the thing is like I was at REI the other day and I'm looking in the garage sale section because I always
Hmm.
they have a dedicated garage sale section at my
You're a
REI.
cheap yuppie.
Some don't have. So I I I identify as an REI sometimes, right?
Sure.
I'm just like I really need a hat, and there are I don't have too many hat store options around here, and this one had the right color scheme for what I was willing to accept. So here we are, Patagonia. It was.
I'll say that the most favorite um, hat store that I've ever been to, it isn't one that I frequent because I don't wear fancy hats. I'm not a,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know,
You're a hat
we
luddite.
we saw
Yeah,
we saw some fancy hat architects on
true,
at the
true,
AIA convention.
true.
I
Yeah,
hung out with one of them, the fancy hat
right.
man, and I'm not the fancy hat man. I mean, like behind me up on the wall is the only non baseball cap hat I've ever worn, and that's the floppy hat, desert hat that I wore during Desert Storm. So, look, it wasn't one of these things that, and I was issued it, so free. Well, I guess free, you
Was it
know.
really free?
True. It's just like, was it free?
Right,
Um,
right.
but but to this to, it wasn't necessarily the hat because the hats that they stole at the store because they were fancy and they were like way above my class. I mean, just flat out. But the name was awesome. Hats in the Belfry.
Oh, nice.
Hats in the
Yep.
Belfry
Hats in the Belfry.
In downtown Annapolis, Maryland.
Maybe it should have been hats in the hell free. I
You
know
just
that one
had
might
to
have went over your head. Yep.
it did, but uh, but
Ouch.
yeah. Uh-huh. What?
Huh? No one said these things make you smarter. It's just
So what's
gotta
interesting though,
cover up the frock today. That's all.
so you bought a hat,
Yep.
and when I buy a hat, what is the first thing that I do when I
You
buy
like
a baseball hat?
curl it.
I roll that bill. And you seem to have more of like the flat kind of
I just went with
um
the default setting on this one. It's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
You got
I used to do
you got
a lot more rolling, but yeah, I
you
just
got
didn't
more
do
of
it on
like
this one.
that kind of like not quite flat bill, but you've got that kind of semi-flat
Yeah.
bill hipster kind of thing
Yeah,
with
this
your
isn't
little
this
soul
isn't
patch.
the super flat look, but yeah.
Yeah,
I did take the
I don't.
tags off. Some people don't take the tags off. They don't take the stickers off.
Oh, really? Yeah. See,
Yeah, that's weird.
this is a, you know, like a good pen or like a good sketchbook. It's something to be used.
I know. I'm with you.
And
I'm with you on that.
I will say that my hat collection, which is really, it's not like there's much diversity in it. It's either Auburn, Detroit, or Tampa Bay stuff. I mean, honestly, is
Are you
probably
talking
as
about
prolific.
locations or sports teams?
Yes, sports
Yeah,
teams.
all of
This
the
is the
above.
only. This is the only non. Like this was just. I love the logo of. I don't know if anybody can see it, but it's the logo of the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, okay.
So, and it
Cool.
was kind of cool.
So
And
it's
I
a
actually
total
bought it for.
tourist. It's a tourist
And
cap.
I actually bought it for my son, and he has nothing to do with it because he's not a hat wearer like I am. So
Oh, okay.
I'm like, hats are made to be worn.
Yeah, agreed.
It is. Yeah. But I would say that my hat collection is very much as robust as my sketchbook / my field notes, which we still haven't done them,
And your Lamy pen collection.
and my Lamy
You're
Pen collection.
you do have a few collections. Yeah.
I do. Whatever,
Order.
Mr. Guitar.
I have a few guitars. I don't
You
have I
have
don't have as
words.
many guitars as you have hats, but that's not saying much.
That's true.
Yeah. I have
So,
two acoustic guitars, three electric guitars, and two bass guitars. That sound right? No,
Oh.
and this other weird kind of bassy guitar.
oh,
Guitar. Yeah, yeah.
and then,
I think I'm
and
at
there's going to
seven.
be some, and there's going to
I
be
didn't
somebody
just do
out
the
there that's
counting, but
listening to this.
sounds about
Real
right.
quick, there's going to be someone that's out there listening to this show that is going to identify with this next comment. Oh, and it's the guitar that I bought, hid from my wife, and snuck into the basement without her knowing
Another guitar?
it. You know who you are.
There's
It-
not just one of those people. By the way,
had-
there's
I
way
had a
more than
co-
one of those people.
Honestly, I had a coworker who he celebrated the fact that he finally got his license by buying himself a
By buying a
slightly
guitar.
expensive guitar.
Nice.
But he knew that he was gonna wreak havoc in the homestead, so he snuck it in. So,
How long is that? How long is that secret going to last? I mean, now there are
Oh no! He's been
there are
busted.
people out there who my wife would not realize if I had a new guitar because she is keeping no track of any of that. So if a new guitar showed up, definitely wouldn't notice. But there are other people out there who are like, they know exactly how many of the various things that their partners have.
Yeah.
And they are keeping track.
Honestly, it's a very, very specific size envelope that comes in containing a field note. She's just like, more?
Yeah. Yeah. You needed
Come
more,
on,
right? Because
my addiction's like, $12 for a pack of 3. So
no harm done. No harm done.
I could say that I could probably take, although now because there are limited edition ones that I own, but since I bought them all at face value, and I could probably take all of my field notes and it still wouldn't equal the amount that this guy spent on his guitar. However, I think now I could sell them and probably get a similar guitar.
You think?
'Cause,
Wow.
oh my gosh, you should go online to eBay
Should.
and see how much
See what they're
people are
selling for.
selling these like special edition notebooks for. And I'm like,
Oh my
why? You can go and find them for 12, 13 bucks.
They're just hoping somebody will be naive and bite on that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things I was talking to a friend that used to work with me, and they moved across country to actually your neck of the woods, actually up in, well, not quite your neck of the woods, but your side of the country, in Washington State. And he was telling me, he was like, hey, I heard that you met a friend of mine at the AIA convention. And I completely blanked on this because it was such this weird occurrence that somebody had come up to me. They were like walking by, and I guess were probably like glancing at like all of the people's name tags as they saw them and stuff. And he stopped and he was just like, Cormac? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, you're not Cormac that works at Air St. Gross, are you? I'm like, yeah.
How
like,
many Cormacs are
like,
there? Come on. Like,
well, that is, don't even get me started. They're like, I went to pick up my Taco Tuesday order, and they were like, can I get a name? I'm like, Cormac. And they're like, can I get a last name? I'm like, and I literally said, I was like, how many Cormacs have come in to pick up an order from you today or ever?
Right.
And she's like, fair enough, but what's your last name?
Fair enough, but we're collecting this data so that we can sell it and make the money back that we're not making on the tacos. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he was just like, oh, I've heard stories of you from, my friend. And I'm like, oh, and I was just like, I'm not quite sure how to take that. He goes, oh, no, all positive. But it was just weird. The reason I bring it up is I was just like, how, and we sort of touched on this in the last episode, but it's literally how small. We kind of think that architecture is like this big, massive community. And when it comes to like the AIA or the American architects, it is a much smaller community than we actually think it is. And you're bound and determined to run into someone
registered licensed architects in the U.S., something like
that you sort of know, or that knows you, or knows, like is a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing. It's like 6 degrees of separation from Cormac.
Right. Cormac is Kevin Bacon, the Kevin Bacon of architecture.
Yeah.
There we go.
Actually, it was interesting. It is, funny enough, I actually had another conversation with another friend that it is actually in your state. And it was just kind of fun to like catch up with people that you worked with, you admired, they left, they went on to their merry way. And again, it's like, I guess that kind of like, collection of just like how tight-knit architecture sort of is. There's going to be tons of people that you don't know, and then there's going to be tons of people that you do know, and then there's going to be those people that you may not know, but they know somebody who knows you, and it's just like, it's just wild. Like, how many people would have just said, Evan? You're not the Evan Troxel from the Troxel podcast, are you?
No, but I am the Evan Troxel from the Archispeak podcast.
Ooh, very nice. Or both.
Oh man,
is this are you denying your other baby?
No, I guess not. Yeah, I shouldn't play favorites.
But it's okay. It's okay to play favorites, and I know that this one is. Your first is always, exactly. It's your first
right
love.
There. Yeah, it's in my heart. Oldest child, best child.
Not in this house. If you believe my sons, they think they believe that my daughter is my favorite child.
They believe that because it's true.
It's true. I mean, they ain't gonna listen to it, so I can admit to it.
You could, they're not gonna hear it, and not only that, like she's just the nicest kid, right? Maybe that has something to do with it. You're like, I actually like to be around nice people. That's what you can tell your boys.
Actually, the other day it's just like, you know why she's my favorite? Because she's got a job.
Right. Yeah. She keeps busy. She doesn't bother me as much. And she's got a job. She's taking care of herself. She's taking responsibility. All the things that I wish you would do. That's what you. It sounds like a good lecture. You should give your own TED talk. Yeah.
So what's been going on in your neck of the woods?
I'm starting to. A lot of stuff's going on just with taking care of stuff for my mom. But starting to plan a summer vacation.
Ooh, is this
Yeah.
your Banff trip?
So I don't think we're going to do Banff. I think we're going to
Oh,
do something in the US because so logistics have changed. They've shifted with
sure.
my daughter-in-law, and she's going to be she's doing some major army stuff this summer, and she's going to be in Georgia for some of that time and then driving back this way. So we're thinking we're going to meet in the middle. So this is a good opportunity for me to bring this up with you because I'm wondering
Ooh,
would you fancy yourself driving to meet up in South Dakota?
hmm,
You think
that's
about it.
interesting. And yes, it would almost be the impulsive answer because it is
There's things
a
to do
it,
there. There's like a few national parks and like an amazing state
there are
park, and I don't remember the names to all this stuff, but there and obviously there's like Mount Rushmore and all that kind of stuff. So
sure,
yeah,
and the Badlands and
right.
Black Hills and all of that other
Yep.
stuff, and
Yep.
and and it is one of those. So there are a few states. So my wife and I have been, you know how you like, it's like, oh, how many states have you been to? And I erroneously said that, oh, I have only not been to 7. But what I meant to say is not been to 7 in the continental U.S. I still have not been to Alaska or Hawaii, but the Dakotas are one of those on my list that I haven't been to.
I haven't
And
either. Yeah.
and I've been very anxious about going there. So
Nice.
would I be very, very welcome or open to that meetup? Yes.
That'd be sweet.
Could we do the a Archispeak podcast from the top of a hill somewhere?
Yeah, I'll bring the Starlink. We'll make it happen.
There you go. And
Yep.
you have to yodel.
Is that a thing there? Is that
I don't know. Isn't it a thing to like once you
just
climb on top of a
from the
mountain,
top
you
of
have
a
to yodel?
mountain? Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
probably. So I've learned that there is rock climbing in Mount Rushmore, and so
Now
I'm
see,
thinking maybe there's like an ascent I can do on a president's face or something. That'd be kind of fun.
Oh, I'm glad I'm going to just stay professional and not respond to that
For once.
for once.
So
Take that, Teddy.
we're also gonna climb Devil's Tower in Wyoming. So
Oh, really?
that's gonna be and that's like northeast Wyoming. I've never been that far over in I've always stayed on the
Okay.
western edge of Wyoming because of Yellowstone and the
How
Tetons.
how
The
far are
Tetons will
they
probably they're pretty far away. I mean, I don't know. It's at least a day's worth of driving. Not close. Not close at all.
from
So from Yellowstone
from?
area, from
Oh,
Jackson
okay.
and Yellowstone. Yeah.
Well, I was
Yeah.
just saying, like, how far is it from? I'm just trying to figure out how
Oh,
much more
from like
driving and hanging out
South Dakota.
with you all will I be
Good
doing?
question.
Um, because so it is where in
It is in
Montana
northeast
or Wyoming? Sorry,
corner
Wyoming.
of Wyoming.
Okay, so
It's
it is
it's
really
20 hours
not
of driving
too
from
far.
here.
But how far is it from, like, say, the South Dakota, where we would be hanging in South Dakota, to
Right.
that area?
Right. Yeah, I
Because
don't think it's that far. I think it's right next to it's not far from like Rapid City, which
okay,
is
and Rapid City is, yeah.
let's see. Where's
Everything
Black Key?
everything is very deceiving when you start looking at it going west because the states get much much bigger. So you're like, oh, they're only like an inch apart on the map. Like, yeah, well, an inch apart could be like a day and a half.
Right. Yeah, it's not like the East Coast, right?
No, it's not like the distance between just us looking at, like, say, Rapid City to Billings. I could go from DC through Maryland, Pennsylvania, Jersey, New York, and probably be up into Connecticut or something like that. Easy. I could fit like
Wow.
half of like, the eastern seaboard in that stretch.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Totally. So that's kind of what's new here. We've just started to figure that out because she was down here for like Father's Day stuff, and we're like we got to figure this out, and so that's why I think Banff is out this year, even though that was something that we were all looking forward to. We're just trying to find something a little more central to East and West Coast and push ourselves a little farther than we've been east of here before. See some new stuff. So I'm excited about that for sure.
But now let's be fair to her though. If she's down in Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
and you're talking about meeting in the middle, that is not in the middle.
Nobody said we're meeting. So I'm towing a trailer and I've got a bunch of people. She's solo in a van. It's okay. I'm okay with her driving a little bit farther. Plus, she has to get back to here. She has to get back to Eugene. So, I mean, we're gonna make it work. Don't complicate this.
I'm just saying, like, maybe she might want to listen to this episode. The fairness of her trip
I see.
versus your trip and all that other stuff,
I
just
see.
seems
I
a
see.
little.
So yeah, you're gonna propose Wichita, I think, is what you're saying, or Topeka.
Wichita. There's Oklahoma
meeting
City.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm going to start singing.
I'm hoping not to go
I'm going
that
to
far
start singing
south.
Route
I mean,
66.
she may have to. She may have to go that way. But yeah, I'm not quite sure the route that she would take to get back up. I'm not sure the route that I'm going to take either. But it's interesting because between here and like Twin Falls, there's nothing that directly connects like from here over towards Salt Lake City. I could go south,
Mhm.
or I can go north before starting to go that direction. So. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. I don't, we're in the very early stages of kind of planning this out. But my goal also, like what you said, is like I want to get all of my stamps in my my national park journal, right? So
Your national
selfishly,
park, passport.
there's so many that I haven't been to out that direction that that would be super.
Oh
cool.
my gosh, yeah. So for me to get there, to like just say Rapid City,
Mhm.
if I take both of them are basically just a hair over 1,200 miles.
Okay.
But it's kind of cool because then I could take the Frank Lloyd Wright Trail again. Got to get some architecture into this.
Yeah, I need to do some research on that too. So yeah, for me it's 1,300 miles. So just a little bit farther. Yeah.
There you go. So
Yep.
see, so that's more in the middle
It
because
is
it's 20.
for us.
It's 1,231 to Rapid City, and so it's 1,300 for you. So,
Yep.
see, that's more of in the middle. That seems to sound
1321
fair.
for me. Yeah.
Oh,
that,
okay.
That does sound
Yeah.
fair. So yeah,
It does.
I can do that.
But for her, yeah, not so much.
Yeah. Well, she's driving out there now, and she's gonna be driving back then. So I don't know.
Where
It
is she
should
at?
be good.
Is she Fort Benning? Fort Stewart?
I don't know. I don't know the names. She's going to Kentucky first, and then to Georgia.
Fort
So,
Knox?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Fort Knox.
Sounds fun.
Really?
I mean, for military, Yeah.
I doubt it. I doubt it's going to be fun. From what I know.
Well, fun is a state of mind, right?
Type 2 fun, yeah. Yes,
Well,
like
I'm
our
also
quotes.
hoping to also take Brian McKay Lyons up on his offer because my wife does want to head to Nova Scotia as well.
We should definitely do that one together. So you leave your wife at home.
Wait.
Let's do.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I agree, but Maybe that'd be the
She's
second trip.
already shown interest. You've already mentioned it. This is the problem.
Well, this is her. This is a milestone birthday for her. This is our 25th wedding anniversary year.
And you're gonna spend
Um,
it with Brian McKay.
and her, and her. I mean,
Yeah.
I might
Hold on,
acknowledge.
honey. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hey, just be quiet for a minute.
Oh, yeah,
I'm having a conversation with Brian.
exactly. No, really, the intent is also to hit up. She's a huge, huge Anna Green Gables fan. Read all of the
Oh yeah,
books
yeah.
countless times. As a dear husband, for her birthday one time, bought her the box set of all of the DVDs of the movies that were made about the books. And she absolutely loves all of those. And so if we're going to be on that side of the planet anyway, and she wants to make sure that we also go to Prince Edward
Okay.
and go to the Green Gables house and all of that other stuff.
So is this your summer vacation planning effort,
That is,
or is this just another trip that you want to do?
yes. And I don't
Okay.
know how to answer that definitively, if it's a summer trip or if it's just a trip.
Yeah.
Because us and our quest to add as many miles as possible onto my poor little.
Your,
Yeah.
on your poor Jeep. So would you be interested in, like, okay, so I'm gonna go to, South Dakota. Would
Yes.
you should plan your own South Dakota summer vacation too. We happen to meet in the middle, but then we work our way back to our locations, our home bases from there.
Yeah.
That might be kind of cool. Maybe I'm just throwing it out there. Just planting a seed right now.
Yeah.
See what happens with this, and water this.
Well, you
Take it home, water it.
the first.
Let's see how it grows.
Well, some of the first things that I'm going to do is what website am I going to pull up and plot out my drive?
Atlas Obscura. The Atlas
Atlas
Obscura is
Obscura.
coming out. Yep, yep.
And there's some amazing things. I need to preach this to everybody who, likes doing road trips. Is like, there's some
Not enough
amazing
people
things.
know about the Atlas Obscura. Right.
No, not at all. And
Right.
like people are like, oh, I'm on these road trips and I just don't know what to do or something like that. I'm
Just
like,
take the highway. They're just trying to get
Au
somewhere. Yeah.
contraire, mon frere. Whip out the old pocket computer here and pull up Atlas Obscura, and you can find some amazing things. I mean,
Yes.
we did it on my road trip when I did my little architectural road trip, with episode's still going to be coming up sometime soon. And then and just like my whole coast to coast trip with my son. I mean, totally did that. And it's so fun to like discover things. And actually one of my memories from that, because memories are like 5 years ago, you were doing this. And since it was on an AIA kind of like stretch of like, it was
Right.
the world's largest ball of twine.
That's right. You sent me that
like,
picture.
I did. It's just like, come on, how can people not want to see the world's largest ball of twine?
I like how
Or-
it's got its own little gazebo. It's housed, so
It does,
keeps it
yeah.
kind of out of the elements. It's still open air, but
Ex-
it's
Yeah.
protected from the rain and the sun. Yeah.
Exactly. And then there's just like all these like little things. It's like being in the geodetic dead center of North America, or like stopping in and seeing like the world's largest Van Gogh painting. And people who are familiar with like Western Kansas will know what I'm talking about.
Right. So this is an obscure episode of things that we're talking about. We started with
Yes.
hats, and we've transitioned to road trips and summer vacations, and this seems to be the appropriate time to restate how important it is to leave
Yeah.
the office and go do something
Yes.
in summertime. Get out and have
Absolutely.
experiences and enrich your person with new experiences that you can then use as a more experienced individual on a project.
Yeah. I'm going to get this quote wrong, but I saw this quote. We were at an antique store, and there was an old typewriter that was similar to my old typewriter. And they had a piece of paper that was in there and had like a little quote typed from Thoreau. and I'll get it wrong, but it roughly said, how can you sit down and type your life if you aren't willing to stand up and live it? Something like that.
Mm.
Something of
Mm.
that
Mm.
that sort. And I was just like, you know what? That's profound. And that's sort of this conversation that I have actually been having with a lot of like the younger architects in our office, is get out there, because I've been talking to them about my road trip, and they were just, oh, what did you see? And I was telling them, and didn't you get bored just like a week looking at architecture? And I'm like, no, because the whole point about it is to kind of like reconnect and see what other
Mm.
people are doing out there, almost take a step into the pages of our architectural history books on some of the things that I saw. And then just as I was, telling you, it's just like, it's kind of that, or we say this to each other all the time. It's like, it's reconnecting with the passion that got us into this in the first place. You, on countless times during the 12 years of this podcast, chastised me for not using my my PTO and getting out of the office and doing that very thing.
Right.
And only finally have I said, all right, fine. Like the last 2 weeks, I came back, and I was just talking to a coworker, and he had just come back from a long stretch being out of the office. He's like, he's like, Cormac, I did not look at a single email. I did not answer a single phone call. I did not do anything, because you know what? It's my time, and I was here to enjoy it. He told me he spent 4 days at the National Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. 4 days, like just walking through there. I was like, okay, you and I just went through the Air and Space Museum. We just talked about it. Maybe we were there for, I don't know if necessarily 4 hours, but it wasn't 4 days. And I'm like, oh my
It wasn't
Lord.
4
I'm
days
like,
worth, right?
Yeah, it wasn't 4 days worth. I mean, could we have spent like 4 days? Maybe, if we were like super geeking and like, let's measure every bolt on every airplane. But
I could pull out my Polycam and scan everything and document it all.
which,
Yeah.
by the way, you did mention that you were polycamming the SR-71. How much of it
Right.
did you actually get?
Just the one side, because I figured like, oh, if I could get this into 3D, I could mirror it, and then it is a symmetrical object. But
Yeah.
okay, so it turns out that like that plane is really hard for the camera to pick up because it's so dark, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
black
Yeah.
plane, obviously, and it's not well lit. It's kind of dramatically lit in that it's like
Yes.
has a
Yeah.
bunch of lights underneath that are kind of uplighting it to some level, but it had a hard time grabbing it because there's like so much going on around it. So the way that the LiDAR scanning on the phone works is it is shooting out kind of
Mhm.
it's they call it LiDAR, but it's not laser, I don't believe. I'm not
Right.
quite sure what the actual tech is, but it's such a busy space, right? Because I'm on the ground, the plane is kind of above me, so it's really hard to get above that leading edge and scan any of the top surface of the plane anyway. So it was a failure. I'm sure I bet if you went to the 3D warehouse, SketchUp's 3D warehouse, you could probably just get that model, right? So
I'm sure
I
you
wasn't
can.
too worried about it, but anyway, yeah, it didn't grab
What's
too much.
interesting is I'm wondering if when you were actually trying to like do the LiDAR capture, it's got the radar absorbing paint and all that other stuff. I'm curious. It was just like, I know it's there. I just
There's
don't
nothing
see it.
there. Yeah, right. It's stealth. Totally. Yeah.
But anyway, so, but yeah, I mean, I'm bound and determined to finish this year with 0 days of PTO. I don't want a single PTO. I don't want to carry over PTO. I want
Gotta
all
use
my
it.
PTO used.
Use it or lose it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you're off to a good start.
bec-
Like you said, you took some time
I'm
off.
doing- Yeah.
Upcoming episode content here of sharing
Yeah.
some experiences you've had recently with architecture. So that I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah. road trip to the, I don't know, we'll come up with the name when we're talking about it when we do that episode.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. Is that it for this one?
I think this one's a short but sweet one, talking about the joys of summer tripping, getting away from the computer, getting away from the office, and refreshing your mind, body, and soul. So everyone out
Sweet.
there listening, do it.
All right. Looking
Do
forward to
it.
it.